Okay, so this is the OpenPro main menu. And then from here, you have sub-menus that you can click on up here as well as on the left-hand side. The colors and combinations you can change. This is also an example of the Business Intelligence Executive Desktop, where you have several applets that you can generate up to over 300 different types and information. In here you have online manuals where you can click help, and there's several manuals that go through the system in detail. Help tells you about the screen that you're on. This is where you log in. It also tells you what business and what language you're seeing the screen on. We have 9 different languages which OpenPro is set up at. Up here, there's also a search button, and with that, you can search for anything in the system, put in a keyword. It's going to go through the database and show you invoices and everything else with that information on it. You have a built-in calculator. There's a little printer button where you can print whatever on the screen. You also have built-in paperless workflow, and this is telling you, hey, I have 8 paperless workflows in my queue. I can click on that and open up those workflows and drill down to the details of the workflow. Okay. We also have integrated in the system email processing as well as text processing, so you can have the system automatically send out text. And then I'll go ahead and show you some basic aspects of the system. You can generate financials, quarterly, weekly, monthly, balance sheets. You can do it for current year or prior years. You can break it down by division and or by departments to generate your financial statements.
Hey, Jim?
Yes.
On that one, I don't see cash flow statement, just balance sheet and income statement. You just have the 2 of the 3 main statements?
No, you can generate a cash flow statement as well.
It wasn't listed. Okay, it didn't show up on your
right. They just didn't generate one. You can generate a PDF or export it into Excel. You can drill down to detailed transactions throughout the system. And in those detailed transactions, you can pull up and say, oh, here's the invoice, and I have questions regarding this invoice. You can pull that up and see exactly who entered in the transaction, what happened during that process, etc. So you have detailed drill down capabilities. Then I'm going to go through inventory control. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some products. So this is showing you your product information, what's on hand, what's available, what's on order. You can drill down to the details. If you have multiple locations, you can see what's on hand in each bin and location within the system. You can also look at what's called available to promise. And available to promise shows you what's available now and in the future, what's coming in. This is showing you month by month. You can see it week by week, and then you can also see it day by day. And then you can drill down to the details of what's coming in. It's showing some work orders that are coming up for closing. You can drill down to the details of those work orders. You can pull up the product routing, and that tells you which operation it's on and where it's going to. You can also pull up the bill of material and see what components are required to build this product. So you have a lot of drill down capabilities and detail processing. I'm going to pull up the item. It's showing you costs broken down by material, labor, fixed and variable overhead. It also shows you multiple levels of pricing. You have pictures associated to your products. You can also drill down to layered cost detail and see all the costs that's come in from each work orders. You can look at history of that item, see what was sold for current year and prior years. You can break it down monthly, month by month for this current year, as well as you can look at prior years too. You can see it weekly. And then you can also drill down to the details. On here, if the details are sales orders, you can also pull up the invoice and review the invoices as well. In here, you can also show, you can also show the bill of material. And with that bill of material, you can see the engineering design drawing on there. So everything is tied together. You can also pull up the product routing, which we call BOO or Bill of Operations. And you can drill down to the step-by-step instructions for that manufacturing process. There's also physical inventory and several reports associated to inventory control. I'm going to pull up receivables. This is where your customers are located. I'll pull up a receivable summary. You can drill down to any details associated to each one of these customers. You can also drill down into invoices associated to them as well and pull up those invoices. Okay, there's also cash receipts, commission processing, and several reports associated to it. I'm going to go ahead and enter in an order. Pull up a customer. I'll enter in a couple of products. It can give you warning of shortages. You can turn on and off things like profit information and all that associated to it. You can ask and request for a customer PO. It's not necessary, but you can do that. You can pay in multiple payment terms associated to that invoice. If this one we didn't have stock on, I'm going to go ahead and change the quantity to 10. You can automatically generate a manufacturing work order by pressing a button. It generated a manufacturing work order there. And you can set it up so it's in work in process status. Okay, so then it will show up there in the manufacturing schedule for processing. So I'm going to go. What?
That looked like a, you know, if we've got an order that's got 20 different line items and we need to manufacture all 20 items, do they have to go through that manufacture process on each of those line items, or is there a way to automate that sales order to?
It automatically does that as part of the MRP process.
So there's a different process than the manual one you just did?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and place order on this. Now that place order will then put it into the shipping queue as well as the manufacturing queue. They would automatically generate a picking ticket. So then the picking ticket has barcodes. It also tells you what bin where you get the information from and where it's being shipped to. I'm going to then go ahead and go into the manufacturing side, pull up the manufacturing work order. In here and in this process, I can see my cost associated to this. So you can see the unit cost, the planned cost, any difference with the actual and the plan. So you can see what your margin is while this is being manufactured. You can set up so generate a routing sheet, and that routing sheet is used where they can scan this and say, hey, I'm starting the labor process for this work order 1311. So I'm going to go into manufacturing activity, do some time entry for 1311-10, which is basically what this scan is here. If I scan there, it would be 1311-10. Whoops. It fills in, and then they can say, hey, I completed 50% of it, and put in notes associated to that. Okay.
Who's the supplier in coconut oil?
It must be the customer or something. Yeah, it is the customer. And see how it's tied to the sales order, so everything's tied together. So in here, I could also go ahead and manually issue the material, or I can set it up as backflash. See how it's set up as backflash? So I'm going to manually issue four units, so then you see how that looks. So it's going to go ahead and submit that. And then if you look at the cost, you'll see that actual cost is already starting to be processed. Okay. And then if I go in here and clock out that one person, I can then go back to the cost, and you'll see that there's some labor starting to be processed here, 49 cents. Okay, so as you clock in and out, you can keep track of your detailed cost associated to the processes. I'm going to go ahead and complete the 10 units here. And it's giving me warnings because we're short inventory, but I'm not going to worry about that. We could possibly go negative on those. I'll go ahead and process those. It tells you overall what units are taken out and what cost is in there. Labor costs, fixed and variable overhead costs are all added to that order. And then the manufacturing order is complete. I will then go in and ship out our units. I can type in the quantities, select what bins, or it automatically knows which ones are best. If I interface with UPS or FedEx, it will automatically track it. And then I record the shipment. And then I can generate a packing slip for that shipment, and then invoice the customer.
Jim,
Yes.
back on your manufacturing process, if that standard was whatever, 10 hours and it took 11 to do it, how does that work?
So basically, it will keep track of the standard and actual. So then you can generate a report that reports what happened, why was that behind schedule.
That's why they're clocking in and out when they go to work on it, right? So you keep
Yeah.
up actual hours.
Different.
Well, it could affect a lot more than hours. How about electricity needed for a generator? You pay the bill, but it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be an estimate.
Yeah, and that's part of the overhead process. But let me finish this up because I want to show you some important aspects that happen in here. So during this overall process, the system automatically documents what was going on. And I go in here and it shows you who placed the order, what date and time it was done, who printed the picking ticket, date and time, who recorded the shipment, date and time, who generated the packing slip, and who invoiced that customer and checked out. So it documents the overall process within the system. It also documents all the shipments. All that information, of course, also shows up in general ledgers. So then if you look at your posting today, you'll see sales order process, and then you can drill down to those original invoices. Okay.